The Mohawk Valley is one of the most beautiful places in the United States. We have the best of all worlds. Excellent transportation, excellent resources for recreation, good job base in the Mohawk Valley, good place to grow, good place to live, good place to raise your family. My name is Ron Peters. I'm the President and CEO of the Fulton County Center for Regional Growth here in Gloversville. The Mohawk Valley was the breadbasket in the turn of the century for New York State and the whole upstate and the northeastern section of the United States.
So the Mohawk Valley has a very long industrial history. It is probably the second area after New England that was developed for industrial purposes. So there's been industry here since the late 1700s.
So I've lived in the area practically my entire life, and I was able to see, the downtowns where there were small businesses, where there was buildings, where there was manufacturing, and then as the 90s came, you could see manufacturers leaving. You could start to see, those buildings being left where they're an eyesore and those things. I'd really say I started to see it in the 90s, and then from there it was just that downward decline where one manufacturer would leave, another would leave, and another would leave, and another would leave. And, it finally got to the point where the Mohawk Valley was part of the Northeast Rust Belt, where there was more brownfields, more dilapidated buildings, more unused manufacturing than there were anything else.
We realized that we do have a lot of brownfield sites, an inordinate amount of brownfield sites. We said, hey, look, we've got to start doing more for our communities. What can we do with these brownfield sites? So groups of us just started talking, say, hey, what can we work together? We were in the Mohawk Valley. We have 6 solid counties in the valley. So we're kind of milling around the ideas of what to do. And we said, hey, we should all work together as one solid region. We all rise together.
I started in this role probably 6 years ago, and we were successful with a U.S. EPA assessment grant and started looking to different consultants to help us with the grant. And we were fortunate to find HRP and Tom Sedgwick and his team at that time. And I truly believe that was one of the catalysts for us, was receiving that grant from the EPA and learning what we could truly do with the properties. Really, I think the first meeting was myself, Tom, and Ron. And we had a great chance to sit down and just talk about brownfields and what could we do and how could we bring more people together.
When we started working in the Mohawk Valley 5-6 years ago, I came to a realization that no one community in and of itself had a lot to attract a developer. And we were working in probably, all the counties and different municipalities. I said to myself, probably makes sense if we get everybody together to get more volume, get more interest. And so I started talking to people and floating the idea. And because the one other thing I'm sure you've heard across the valley, there's a great cooperation. Everybody knows everybody, and there's cooperation between everybody. And they all realize that what's good for Herkimer County is good for Fulton County, is good for Oneida County. And so there's a great amount of cooperation. So when I started floating the idea, they said, no, that's great, let's do it. And all of a sudden, there I was. And I remember sitting at one meeting, and they called me out on it, said, you've been talking about it, let's do it.
Not that we all haven't been working together on other IDA projects or economic development projects, but I think we all knew that we had the common goal of getting these properties redeveloped. And what's great about what we're doing, if one wins at our conference, we all win. And now we've developed a great relationship with the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, New York State DEC, New York State Department of State. We have them all at the event, and we just all work together now.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about the Alliance. We all have the similar goals on that. We all want to have wins and get a deal done and make a brownfield site a beautiful opportunity and have somebody come in and develop that site. But we all have the same goal, which is help our residents and help our county grow and help stimulate the job base, because every job we create feeds a family, it helps send kids to school, and it gives residents a better life. And that's, I think, our real common goal.
I truly believe because we all had brownfields that we needed to address. We thought as a group to bring us all together would make us more a stronger unit. We could get more developers here.
And then decide a common goal that we want to create this summit. The goal is to attract developers to the area, educate the local communities on it. And once that was established, committees were formed, and people would volunteer for different committees. We have 5 or 6 different committees that different people run.
So Ron stepped up and said, let's do it at Fulton Montgomery Community College. It was in his backyard. He had at the time, I think my staff was just me and one other person, so we didn't have as large a staff. Other areas, it was the first one. Who could dedicate the most time? And it was Ron's team, and we did it down there, and it was great for our first one.
My role in the Mohawk Developers Summit, we started as a team player. And then each of us, now we have our individual roles. Like I kind of head up the program committee. So my committee will sit there and we'll have meetings, and we'll interface with the other members as to what kind of program we think would be most advantageous to our brownfield developers, to our brownfield participants.
Yeah, the purpose really was to showcase brownfields, to showcase the Mohawk Valley, to say, hey, we're here, we're ready for you to come in. And we're going to prove it to you by, we have a site for you. We have all of the economic developers here that can help you wherever you want to go in the Mohawk Valley. And oh yeah, we've also brought in local politicians, state agencies, and federal agencies. So the Brownfield Summit is a one-stop shop of seeing what the Mohawk Valley has to offer and talking to anybody you might ever need to.
I mean, really, it was, it was like any summit. You have to get everybody together and then decide a common goal that we want to create this summit. The goal is to attract developers to the area, educate the local communities on it.
And, that usually helps down the road. If you're looking to connect with someone, or if you have a business that wants to come in or a manufacturer that wants to come in, you have a contact in a state office or a federal office that you might have to reach out to.
To me, the biggest positive outcome is education of the powers that be, the champions, and the community at large. That first of all, we can tackle the challenge of brownfields, but it takes patience, time, and creativity. Because it takes time to educate the people, not only your champions, the public and the politicians, getting them on board, and then going through the process of getting your environmental data together, and then attracting a developer. So I think this is going to be a big year, because I think those elements are all lining up now.
If you're looking to do something like this, really start forming your partnerships now. Other organizations' strengths will complement yours and vice versa. But, showing a united front for a region really is an asset. And it shows state agencies, it shows federal agencies, it shows the outside world that you are serious about what you want to do. And you're here to help, and you're not going to put up any walls to prevent somebody from cleaning up a brownfield.
Put yourself in the other person's shoes. You've got to listen. You've got to be able to take criticism. You've got to be able to move, and you got to pivot quickly. But listening to everyone else's needs and how you can work together as a team and be open-minded.
It goes back to the EPA and at their last national conference in Detroit. They said this, they wrote it down, and I left with this. The answer to an unasked question is no. Because especially in the world of brownfields, it's about possibilities. You got to dream somewhat, because if it was easy, it would have been done already.
And you can't forget the celebration piece of it. You have to celebrate your successes. You have to, whether it's your success or one of your partner's success, it's still a success. And you need to shout that from the top of the brownfields.
The Mohawk Valley has great potential in that it's going to be surrounded by chip fab plants. There is a need for chips, as we know. And I just read an article saying that chips are the new oil for an economy. And these are huge, huge investments.
We have Micron in Syracuse, which is about an hour from here. They're a chip fab that makes memory chips. And they're doing a $100 billion operation there. We have Global Foundries and some other chip fabs in the Albany area, so we're in between all of that. They're going to come down the Thruway corridor, which we're all a part of. We see that growth potential. We know that land is a premium. We know infrastructure is a premium. We have plenty of water here, and our electricity is getting better and better every day.
I can see folks wanting to come here for the job base, be able to make a six-figure in probably a year and a half with the opportunities we're going to be having available. We're going to be the Silicon Valley of the Northeast.
I think that we're going to see an area like we've never seen before here in this area. And I think you're going to see kids stay here and grandkids stay here and give us some opportunities that we haven't seen since the Industrial Revolution. And I think brownfields will be a part of it, because we're going to have structures and property that have all the infrastructure in place, and they'll be quick to turn and make things happen.
I think the Mohawk Valley in 10 years, you'll still recognize it as the Mohawk Valley, but I think you're going to see updates to it. I think you're going to see more housing. I think you're going to see more community-based areas. I think you're going to see revitalized downtowns.
If it's done correctly, I think you're going to see a very vibrant economic ecosystem here that I would hope would be a model for other places.